Welcome back to Arizona Real Estate Matters, brought to you by Empire West Title. We've been talking about the Cromford report in the areas of town that are heating up as far as, we're seeing increased activity. Josh, and I know that, you kind of work Scottsdale area, and I'm sorry, but Scottsdale's not on this
not
list.
On here,
it's
I'm
not
noticing
heating up.
that.
What's going on?
Yeah, it's definitely... It's neither nor. It's kind of just it is right in the middle right now. There's not a lot of activity. It's more kind of a flat market right now, and hopefully, things will heat up as we get through these beginning summer months and get rolling in towards the fall. And like it always does, it should pick up again. So,
well, not that it's dead. I mean, things are going on.
Definitely
it's
not
just,
dead.
It's just not at the higher percentage of volume.
Exactly.
I guess. Well, we're going to bring in our guest today is Randy Roach with Arizona Online Realty. Randy, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
And, I noticed your address is Scottsdale. I don't know. I mean, obviously that's where you're at, but is that the area that you mainly work in, or?
I work pretty much the whole valley.
Okay.
I do a lot of vacation winter buyers, relocations. So over the last 8-9 years, I've devoted a lot of time in learning, the different cities and what they have to offer. So when I have somebody from out of state that's looking for something specific as far as location is concerned, I'm not honed in on one area. I can tell them about some of the other areas that might be better for them. So we've learned, over the years, the different areas, and it's been a benefit to my clients. So, yeah, I cover the whole valley, really. But if I were to say, most of my business is in the Southeast Valley, Scottsdale area.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's good that you do that because, a lot of agents, there's a lot of agents that do what you do, which is awesome. I think you should never, ever limit yourself to one little area. Yep. Because if that area goes cold, what do you do then? If it gets hot, great. But, or if it stays, constant, that's great too. But, we know this real estate market, it can, even in good times, even in normal times, it's got its ups and downs. Yep. So if you limit yourself to a certain area, you're just limiting your income, you're limiting your exposure to what's going on in the market.
And you're not doing your client a good service because there might be other areas that are better.
Sure.
For what they're looking for, you just don't know.
Sure.
So you're only going to show them what you know.
Well, exactly.
So that may be a disservice to your clients. So you need to know the areas that are out there and west side, as well as the east side.
Well, you talked about relocation, especially if you're dealing with somebody who's come in from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
They might have heard that they want to live in Scottsdale. They might have heard that they want to live in Chandler or Palm Valley, out where I'm at, or whatever. But when you start to talk to them, I mean, how many times do you talk to a potential buyer and they say, well, this is kind of what I'm looking at and this is the area I'm looking for. And then you find out it really isn't what they want, not the area. It's not what they're looking for. They're actually looking for this over here.
All the time, because they don't know the area. So it's my job to, guide them in the right direction. So once they give me the information, then I can help them better. And since I know the areas, a lot of times people are looking on the east side and the west side's better.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. So it just depends on where they're working and what they're trying to do. I work with a lot of winter buyers, so a lot of them like the Surprise area, because it's a little quieter over there and it's close to Sun City, and it kind of fits a lot of their needs. There's a lot of amenities over there that match what they're looking for, so they're not really concerned about, school districts or things like that. So, it just depends.
Yeah, well, and that's like I said, being diversified as an agent, knowing your areas and everything else, and it keeps you on top of things. That's definitely for sure. Going back to the Comfort report, and I don't know, I know that you have some stats, and you're going to want to talk about some of those stats. But do you get the Comfort report?
I do, yes.
Okay, because in my opinion, if you're a good real estate agent, you want to look at all the data, and not just know the area, get out there, boots on the ground, that type of thing, but also look at the data as far as what's going on. And going back to the Comfort report, one of the things that I noticed is that the cold and lukewarm spots. That's one of the things that came out in the Comfort report, and some of this stuff doesn't surprise me at all. No offense to the guys over at the Cromford report, but they have Gila Bend as a cold spot. Unfortunately, I think Gila Bend's been a cold spot for pretty much my whole life here in Arizona. Tonopah is lukewarm. Well, Tonopah was actually hot at one time. And it's got Wickenburg is cold, which I is a cold spot, which I thought was interesting because, there's a lot of, like you said, Randy, you got a lot of people that come to town and they're looking for a certain thing. And especially with individuals who are retired or close to retirement, Wickenburg's a good option for them. You know, so they can they can be close to town, but get outside of town a little bit, get a little privacy, a little quiet, that kind of thing. And the more people who get older, you know, we're seeing more and more of that buying base is much larger.
A lot of that hot and cold in the report is based off building permits. You know, how much building they're doing in the area. So Scottsdale, not a whole lot.
Yeah.
But, you know,
because it's actually shown as one of the lukewarm areas.
It's one of the lukewarm areas. So if you go down the Southeast Valley, there's a lot of land still that's open. So they're doing a lot of building that's creating more growth in those areas. So a lot of that has to do with where the building's going on, you know, in the valley.
And that's the thing that people don't know. They see these reports, they see the data come out. Unfortunately, I mean, these guys do a great job putting data together, but they don't know the little things. And that's the little things that sets you apart from maybe another agent, you know, is that they see this data and they say, well, you know, I'm looking at, you know, for example, they've got Scottsdale is in parts of it is cold and lukewarm. And they might come to you and say, well, you know, I've heard that market's not really that great. And with your knowledge, you can say, well, why do you say that? And then when they tell you this is where they heard it, now you can say, well, and you can change maybe their mind and say, look, it's not as bad as you think it is.
It's
you know,
mainly based on growth, not so much appreciation. So location is everything in real estate, so Scottsdale is always going to do good.
Oh, obviously.
So but it's more due to growth. And, you know, there isn't as much building going on in Scottsdale. It's kind of landlocked in a way.
Sure.
So that's the main reason. But location, though, is always going to drive price and appreciation, and Scottsdale is always going to be up there at the top.
And the nice thing is, you know, anywhere in Phoenix is you know, people come here because, I mean, it's a great place to live. And I don't want to get too sidetracked here, but I do want to just state and bring up something. Wallet Hub, whoever Wallet Hub is, they've actually announced a new study from Wallet Hub that all of the Valley's major cities were in the top 100 of all U.S. cities when ranked as good places for 2015 graduates to kick off their careers, which means there's lots of jobs here. You know, so, you know, even though we're talking lukewarm and hot, I think the whole area and just being in Arizona, it really lends itself to a great place to live, and people want to live here.
Well, and I agree with you. And when you know, the key thing about what you just said is it wasn't just Phoenix, it wasn't just Scottsdale, it wasn't
Maricopa.
Tempe, it was the
whole area.
Maricopa County grew by 74,000 last year.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a lot. So for the people out there that think that things are still down, you know, that's not true.
Yeah.
One of the things the Crawford report came out with is, you know, they rank things, the real estate market on many different things, and they give it a term as far as, you know, is it depressed, is it optimistic, is it growing, or whatever. And the Crawford reports basically said that, you know, everything going forward is optimistic. You know, all their data that they've seen, the trends, everything else, this real estate market is now considered optimistic, which is better than, you know, recovering or, you know, growing. It's optimistic is like, you know, basically how I interpret it is we're, you know, we got some good stuff ahead of us, you know, and as a buyer, you know, if you can, and if you're not in the, you know, in the market as a buyer, you need to jump in now. I know we talk about this all the time, but this isn't just some sales pitch. We're talking real data here that supports all this good stuff. When we come back, we're going to be talking more to Randy Roach from Arizona Online Realty and talking more about some of this wonderful data from the Crawford Report. We'll be back after this.